My name is Lori. Welcome to the last of the Scrappy is Happy Scrap Buster series. This is episode number 10 here on my channel, We Are Quilters. I have lots to talk about today about the ever powerful scrap busting hexagon shape. Lots to show you, and at the end I will tell you about some other things that are coming up on my channel. Let's go! First, let's look at some natural hexagon inspiration. Look at this, the stem on this beautiful red bell pepper that I bought at the farmer's market, hexagon. This was labeled Venice in the picture files on Pixabay. A fantastic shot from the ceiling. And I love these beautiful snowflakes. When I was a teacher, snowflakes were my favorite thing. Thus, my love of hexagons. And, of course, some nuts and a hex driver. I always kept one of these in my desk for the heater. Beehives. It's amazing that they can build such beautiful hexagon shapes and then fill them with the sweetness of honey. Next up, some quilts and blocks using hexagons. Here is my very first quilt. Oh, it is loaded with mistakes and it needs repaired. Took me a decade to make this. No one told me I shouldn't, so I did. As you'll see, my grandmother helped create this mess by giving me fabrics that were not suitable for this kind of quilt. And I did use the right kind of binding. I didn't sew the blocks together correctly. I will help you not make these same mistakes in this video. This lovely green is a brocade satin that was in my Aunt Pat's gown when she was crowned Flaming Foliage Queen in high school, a big tradition in Central PA. You can see in some places that my stitches could have been a little tighter. And this fabric is a lovely satiny glazed fabric that was made into a dress shirt at a later date. Someone told me that only hand-stitched quilts were valuable, so that's what I made, a hand-stitched quilt. I didn't do a good job. This fabric was part of my grandmother's favorite pantsuit that she wore to church often. It is polyester. This was part of someone's house dress, a very nice cottony fabric, and it seems to be holding up pretty well, considering the circumstances. Now for a newer and improved hexagon project. I have been making these little stars for quite a while now. They are slightly smaller hexagons than the ones that you saw before, but I have them joined in one piece, and this is the width that the quilt will be when it is all finished, stars joined together. And here's an up-close look at some of the pieces. I like bright colors with a black background, and you will notice that there are little minions all scattered throughout the center. I have a little collection of minions. I used to tell my students that they should wish to be my minion, and that was what made me happy. Here's another one. I did different colorways. All the stars are not the same. I get bored easily, so things are very bright. Here is the last star in the row. I did use some directional fabric to create a pattern so that nothing is ever boring. Everything always has a purpose. And here is the minion collection. I didn't eat this much McDonald's. My friends buy these for me when they see them at yard sales and thrift stores and everywhere around. This next project is quite old, 20 years old as a matter of fact. I started it when my son was a freshman in high school, and I worked on it for a while. You'll notice a stain on the one section. That is what happens when you try to eat healthy and you let an apple in your project bag for 3 extra months after wrestling season is over. Just saying. I did try to remove this stain with some stain remover and a toothbrush, but it didn't work. Let's talk for a moment about basting a hexie. Some people use glue, and it is a perfectly good method. I like to take the Hexies out that are in the middle, and I like to reuse them, and I don't like sticky stuff on my hands, so I don't use glue. I like to baste my Hexies right onto the paper or plastic form, whatever I seem to be using at the moment. This is my travel kit. Over the weekend we were traveling, so I took my kit along. Here I am starting to baste a Hexie on. This is a still photograph, and it's laying on top of the paper form, or the paper form's laying on top of it. I like to use those little office clips. I clip it sometimes off-center a little bit, so that it's easier for me to remove that clip later on. You could use those lovely little clover clips. I have some of those too. I fold it over, I sew through the corner. Here's a video that shows it better, I think. I have my little toolbox and my thread, and I have everything laying there ready to go. At this point, it doesn't matter what kind of thread you use, as long as it's not going to show through the other side. You are not going to remove this thread when you are done. Here I am showing you how I thread a needle. I put the thread between my fingers, and I push my needle down onto the thread. And this works, look how I grab a hold of that. That works pretty well. Even if you can't see the eye of the needle, that works pretty well. And here I am getting my little scissors out. I cut my thread, and I am amazed that people tie knots differently. I never realized that that's how it worked. I wrap it around my finger and roll it and then pull my knot tight. I only have one friend that ties it that way. Other people tie it differently. So here I am just kind of getting my things ready to go. I'm putting my paper on top, folding it over. You'll notice that I put the clip off to one side. So there's about 2/3 on the side I'm going to start with, and a little tiny tail on the other side, so that I can fold, and then I pinch it, fold it, and then I do 2 stitches at every corner. So there's the first stitch, and then I pull it tight. You don't have to be too gentle. And there's the second stitch. You just don't want your thread showing too close to the top. Pinch, fold, and here I speed up the video a little bit so that it is not long and dull and boring, but you don't have to be too gentle, and if you get stuck on the clip, then just pull it out. It'll be all right as long as you can see your thread when you're all done. And then I fold and slip, flip, and fold and flip until I have all 6 sides tucked under carefully. And there I bobble the needle a little bit. It does take twice as long as it's showing here. I do love time-lapse photography though, because that makes it so much better. Here I'm on the last corner that is not under the clip. And then I remove the clip, and same technique, fold, pinch and fold, and hold, and sew that corner once, twice, and then I go back to where I started, and I go back into that corner again so that the thread goes the whole way around the Hexie. You probably could skip that if you wanted to, and then I tie off my thread by going through the loop, and I give it a little tug. I'm none too gentle, and then I clip my thread, and now I have a Hexie ready to go into a project. And you know what that project is with this one? It's to replace that apple-stained mess that was in the other project. So here I have put in the pieces, and when a form is in the middle, I pull it out so that, and here it is replaced. Now the newer fabric is a little brighter than the old fabric. While I was messing with fixing that old project, I decided I was going to add some butterflies to the star strip. So I made a butterfly while we were visiting our friends. It takes 14 Hexies on the outside, 6 Hexies on the inside of the wings, and 3 for the body. I do love playing with special effects, so here is my little butterfly flying bravely in a snowstorm. 2 of those lovely Hexie shapes. Let's talk about joining Hexies together so that you get it right, not like I did in that first quilt. So I have 2 Hexies. I line them up so the corners match. And then I put 2 stitches through a corner, and then I whip stitch. You can feel when you are hitting the form inside, and you don't want to do that. You want to stitch right above the whip stitch right above that form. And it does take a little while to whip stitch together, so I sped up the camera so that you wouldn't slip into a coma and not watch the rest of the video. And there it is all put on the quilt again, just a preview, because it took a lot of work to get there. Beyond the hexie, there are other shapes you can use and make. I found this as I was rooting through my books. I found this book, copyright, I can't show you the pictures inside. And I found another one on the new hexagon, hexagons made out of shapes, different shapes to make a big hexagon. So I made copies of the page because that's what you do. And then I drew a swirl on it so I would know where to join it back together. And here I made 2 blocks. The first one I sewed onto black fabric. The next one is not quite finished. And here's a little kit that I picked up. Honeycomb shapes, elongated hexagons. And here it is, most of the way hand quilted, not finished. And then I have a layover on plastic waste of laminating film of where I want to put the rest of my quilt stitches. I also, and this is not sponsored by AccuQuilt Go, I do have a set that my husband bought me for a birthday it cuts the paper pieces, it cuts the other parts too, of all kinds of shapes. I promised that if you hung out till the end, I would tell you about the next series. I have 3 treadle machines that I would like to talk about in the next 3 weeks. And I will also show you some other blocks along with those. Several of you have asked in comments for a tutorial on these lovely Dresden blocks, so I will also be making those, maybe in conjunction with the treadle machines. See you on Wednesday for Build a Block Wednesday, and next Monday for a new episode.